All right, let's get this over with.
All right, that's the way to do it. All right, welcome back to the Chasing Winners College Football Podcast, Week 2. Kyle Massaloni here with JP Lyon. As always, we returned last week. I had a crazy good week that JP could go over in a second, but yeah, last week was absolute insanity. It kind of rang 2007 vibes with everything that was going on.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to, week 1's finally back. I can't wait for it to start. Week 0 last week was great, but it's too bad Baylor didn't play last week. I know Miami didn't play last week either. So week 1, I'm looking forward to it.
I think Miami won 37-3, and I think something else may have happened to Baylor. Not sure.
Yeah, that was not the world's greatest week. As far as losses go, but I fear I might have to get into it a little more later. You can see on the screen now, Kyle last week, 11-3, and he went 6-0 on the games we talked about last week, which is really not good for me considering I was on the other side of 4 of them. And he lost his best bet. I went 5-9, so my week 0 lead quickly vanished there. So I went 5-9, 2-4 on the podcast picks, and lost my best bet. Podcast parlay did hit. We're up 1.13 units this week, or not this week, but on the season. It's pretty good. I think we should quit. But yeah, so on the season now, Kyle's 11-4, and I am 6-9. 5 games back
Nice.
after week 1 is really not where I want to be. But sun comes up, and we return.
Yeah, but you may have hope this week though, because I'm ditching the eye patch from last week for glasses as I continue the eye surgery recovery here. So maybe that'll give you some hope. Maybe that 11-5 turns into or 11-4 turns into a 4-11. You never know. I hope not. I really think that's, knock on wood. I need to find wood somewhere to knock on, but I hope that doesn't happen this week.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I am looking forward to if you lose badly this. I do want you to lose this week, because then you'll bring back the eye patch for the rest of the season, and that's just going to make it so much more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, I'll be the Miami Pirate. It'll be great.
Mm-hmm. Did you have? You saw it just before I cut you off. The AP 25. Do you have any thoughts on that this week?
Yeah, Clemson should not hold a ranking. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're still in the top 25. Some voters must have fallen asleep before must have put in their vote and did not watch that game before they did so, because Clemson looked absolutely dreadful. And it wasn't really, I mean, the goal line turnovers were what they were, but either way, like they let up 27, they let up 28 to Duke. Would have been a dogfight either way. I was luckily on the right side of that, but yeah, I don't think I was expecting it to go just that way.
So I'm looking at the others receiving votes. Iowa they had 73 points or votes, so that's almost half as much as Clemson. And then UCLA, Arkansas, TCU. Who would you have put above Clemson?
I mean,
You can say, I don't want you to say all of them.
probably, that's a tough question. I mean, my bias says Miami, but
They got 4 votes.
Probably UCLA.
Yeah. Did they win by 14?
Yeah. They won pretty handily.
They didn't cover 16.
another one of my
I seem to remember that one.
another one of my winners there.
Yeah, I think if Iowa wins this week, then they might be in there, but it obviously depends on what you guys do. What A&M does is what I mean by that. It's nice that Texas State got 2 votes. That's nice. Warms the heart there. We had some votes last week. That was fun.
It lasted a week. Maybe Miami's will only last a week too, though. But I don't think that'll be the case. We'll talk about that later. So let's get into the week here. So first game we're gonna go over is Notre Dame and NC State. Noon game on ABC. Notre Dame has started the season 2-0 and have given up a total of 6 points. But I mean, looking at the level of competition, there was Navy and Tennessee State, so nothing really to go crazy over. While NC State struggled with UConn last week, but the line's still only 7.5 here. I mean, I know it's on the road in North Carolina, so JP, what are your thoughts here? Seems like an interesting line. I'm not quite gonna scream what is this line yet. That may come later, but seems like
I have a feeling it's gonna come later, given the board. Do you want to talk, since it went so well for me last week, to have you talk ACC first? Go ahead and continue talking ACC first.
Oh man. I watched way too much of this NC State versus UConn game. I think I commented on it last week. It was I forget.
What time was that at?
What's up?
What time was that game at?
It was a Thursday game.
Oh. So it was just Thursday night like every other game.
Yeah. It was Utah, Florida, and NC State, UConn. I was flipping back and forth between the rest of you were watching
Minnesota on.
Well, the rest of you were watching that terrible Nebraska-Minnesota game. I was watching even worse.
It was the only game I watched Thursday. Boy, did that suck.
Oh my God! But the ending was spectacular. But
I disagree.
But yeah, I mean, NC State didn't really, like I mentioned, didn't really look impressive. They struggled through that game a bit. Brennan Armstrong went 17 for 26 for 155 yards, so the passing game wasn't really moving much. Run game looked decent, but I mean, they did not impress me much. Notre Dame, on the other hand, I know it was against dog shit opponents, but they really didn't. They really did, at least in that week 0 game. I mean, I didn't see much of the week 1 game. A game against Tennessee State isn't really worth watching much, but it was 56-3. They continued putting up numbers. They continued not letting other teams score. A total of 6 points given up this season so far, but they're playing a team that could actually, an FBS team that could actually pass the ball this time. So I know the public line on this game, and it is crazy, but I'm gonna have to ride with the public here and go Notre Dame minus 7.5.
So, and Kyle and I behind the scenes here, we haven't told each other our picks this week. We know each other's best bets in the parlay, but we haven't talked about podcast picks. We might do it again going forward just because it could be more fun. I was going to keep the public sides a secret from Kyle until he found the tweet that I liked and then sent it to me. And I was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, 76% of public is on Notre Dame, which makes sense because they have obviously looked good. Everyone watched the week 1 game. Sam Hartman looked unbelievable. like you said, nobody watched the week 0 game people watched. Nobody watched the week 1 game. I think Hartman only played a half. If I remember, he was like 14 to 17. And he like under 200 yards, but he got taken out, and the other quarterback had 150 yards as well, threat passing. So, I think Sam Hartman is awesome. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You obviously believed in NC State last year, but I don't know. I don't know anything about Wake Forest weapons when Hartman was there. But I think Notre Dame probably it's the best cast he's been around as far as receiving core goes.
Yeah, I would say that.
So
and Sam Hartman 2-2 record against those NC State teams, by the way, that I thought were great. But I don't think this year's is just as great.
And I agree with that for sure. But I think when 76% of the public's on Notre Dame, I have very few rules in my college football betting. And even when I have them, I still go against them. Regardless of whether I go with them or against them, I will lose. So I am going to hold my nose and trust the secondary that picked him off 3 times last year in a 30-21 victory. I'm going to take NC State plus 7.5. I will bet it to plus, or I'll by the hook when I actually take it, but for the podcast, 7.5. And move on to other games that are going to make me more unhappy.
Yeah, you're right. We are moving straight on to a game that's going to make you very unhappy. So up next, we're covering number 12 Utah coming off of their big win against Florida, traveling to Waco to take on the Baylor Bears coming off of one of the disaster games of week 1 there. I'll let you vent here in a minute. Utah are only 7.5 point favorites, and here we go. What the hell is this line?
So I'll start with the line. According to, I guess I'll give them a free plug here. I use Action Network for their public sides. That's what I use every week. I don't pay for Pro because I haven't done that since it was free. But it says that it opened at Baylor minus 1.5. So I assume it has to be before we lost. So moved 9 points based on the results from week 1, which is great. Yeah, the line makes no sense. So I watched. I'll say I watched every second of the game last week. I had a fantasy football draft at 9 Saturday. I golfed in the morning, got back, so I missed the whole TCU Colorado game. I watched a little Washington on my phone. They look great. We aren't going to talk Washington here, so I should say this. Super happy that RG3 got to call a Michael Penix game in the first week of the year. That's just, it should be. I think he called one early last year too. So what channel is this on? Is this it's ESPN?
So it's noon on ESPN. I didn't specify that at the top.
Yeah, it's ABC, ESPN, Fox. So I get back. I get all ready to watch Baylor game. And first drive goes great, 3 and out. We complete a 40-yard pass to Hal Presley. Great catch. Blake kind of just threw it up there. First play of our series, and then Presley makes a great catch. And then we kind of stall out, kick a field goal up 3-0. And then Texas State just kind of marched down the field and scores a touchdown. And then we don't score. And then they score another touchdown. And I was like, that's really not good. because we were down 2 scores before the first quarter ended, if I remember correctly. And we ended up losing 40. I just had the score up because it was getting me
42 to 30.
42 to 31. I know. I just had it up because I had to get amped up for this stupid podcast. So we had no defense, none. Texas State had these superior athletes last week, and it shouldn't be true. So it should be that they were just giving more effort. They were more amped up for the game than we are. But we had no defense, and Aranda is a defensive coach. We had no offensive line, and our offensive coordinator is an offensive line guy. He preaches RVO, which is reliably violent offense. And we had none of that last week. They looked lethargic, and they looked like they had taken on the attitude of the head coach. They had embodied Aranda, which is stoic, not showing any emotion. At one point, they panned to him when Texas State had they were on the 1 and they were trying to get in the end zone. They panned to Aranda, and all he says is, "Let's go defense," and then they score. Okay, so we had nothing that week. Chapin was okay. I'll give him that. The quarterback was fine. I still don't like him, but he was okay. He missed a couple throws early, and then by the time we were trying to get back in the game, he was making more plays. He hurt his MCL, so he's out 2 or 3 weeks. But the line couldn't protect him. We had 3 or 4 false starts on the second or third drive, and we couldn't snap the ball correctly. We couldn't. It was like they just skipped the entire summer. They skipped all of fall camp and just came in with transfers and freshmen like they hadn't played a down of Big 12 football, and they weren't ready for the night. It was like they hadn't been prepared. And Aranda can say all he wants that he's accountable for that, and that's on him. It is on him. It's on him. It's on the OC, who's the offensive guy, who's the O-line guy. I knew the O-line was a question mark, and it's so much more of a question mark than it should have been. Did I hit all my points? I think I hit all my points. The great freshman running back from last year did nothing. He averaged 2 yards a carry and carried it 10 times. The Oklahoma State transfer was good. I think he had 10 carries for 73 yards. The backup quarterback, Sawyer Robinson, got some time because eventually Aranda pulled Chapin because he told him, "We just can't protect you." This is after he's been on the field limping around throwing the ball, and then they tape up his knee, and then they put a brace on it, and then they put a heavier brace on it, and then finally they're like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't be in the game." And no shit, he shouldn't be in the game. And he runs for a touchdown. I assume it was before he got injured, but he runs for a touchdown and takes a hit in his back as he's diving. I was like, dude, it's Texas State. We can't be doing this. We can't be putting our everything on the line to do this. So Sawyer comes in and he also on his first drive had actually a pretty nice pass. I thought it was the same receiver, Hal Presley, makes a great catch. And I think it was like a better pass than Chapin made on Presley's first great catch. So it was a surprising amount of like great catches, because we also had Texas State had a play where they're on like the 25 or 30, and we finally get pressure for once on the night. And every time we got pressure, we just didn't sack the quarterback. So we just played like we were playing 2-hand touch at practice. So he spins out and just runs around and then throws it, and we get fucking mossed in the end zone. And we had another one where this white dude made a one-handed catch on the sideline. He's in by about that much, and I'm sitting there like, what are we doing? So where was I going? Sawyer was okay. He made a bad pass in the end zone that bounced off the receiver's hand that got picked. On the last drive, he fumbled after picking up a 25-yard gain. He's trying to do too much. It is what it is. So we have all these issues. that I don't know how long I've been talking, that we've been recording for, good God, 25 minutes. We have all these issues that are nowhere near fixable in a week. We had 8 months of I don't know if you realize this, Kyle. We lost the last 4 games of the season. We lost 31-3 to Kansas State on a student organized blackout. I don't know if you remember this, but I was there wearing black.
Oh, I do.
Because the university can't sponsor a blackout because we can't touch the scandal. And Aranda would never let us wear black because he hates any uniform colors, which is why we wear mustard yellow. And that's actually true, by the way. I have a friend who played for the team, and he told me Aranda is big on, no, we're not doing variety in uniforms.
Why?
Because it's not how he is. He's the stoic, he's the old school, like, he's super analytical, and that just distracts from the actual play, so he doesn't want to do that.
But you also need to get recruits in somehow. I mean, recruits love uniforms.
They do. Yeah, and actually I attended, they had a dinner. They have dinners every now and then, like the DFW area for I tried to go to one for the basketball, but I was out of town, and then I went to the baseball one. Just like the head coach comes and speaks, talks with like the radio guy, and the football team, or Aranda had one. So I go, and one of the things he said was, we're going to do more with the uniforms because I think he said his daughter had been telling him he had to do that or something like that. I was like, that's great. That's exactly what I want to hear. And he's telling us how everybody, he has all these leaders on the team, and he doesn't. And then they come out with yellow helmet that doesn't match the yellow jersey and green pants. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't hate it. I kind of liked it. But he's not going to do it. He's not going to be the guy who revamps the uniforms. So where was it? Back to, we have no leaders. We have all these problems to fix that we couldn't fix in the last 8 months. We lost the last 4 games of the season. We gave up 30 points in all of them, and then we gave up 42 to Texas State. By the way, my best bet last week was that game under 60, 61.5. We did our part. What I said was Baylor won't score enough to hit the over, and I was right. But I can't predict Texas State scoring 6 touchdowns. I didn't think it was possible. But TJ Finley threw up and down the field. So we have no leaders. We have all these problems to fix that we haven't fixed in 8 months. We haven't fixed since November. The start of that streak was this horrible Kansas State game, 31-3. Everyone was amped up for it, and the team came out lethargic, a lot like they did last week, except Kansas State was a lot better than Texas State. And then we came back the next week. TCU lost 30-28 on that stupid fire drill field goal when they went down the field with no timeouts, and we couldn't convert a 3rd and 6 because Blake wouldn't throw the ball to the tight end. He tried to run it instead. And we were ready to storm the field, and I'm ready to storm the field. I'm in the line section. I'm on my way, and they kick a fire drill field goal, and we just walk out and shit. So if that happens against Utah, I'm going to be pissed, but I'll be happy we cover. That's a tease. So no leaders. We're on this horrible streak, 30 points a game. The last 5 games we've lost. Our last 2 games we've lost are against Air Force and Texas State, not world beaters. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, how can we cover? How can we make this a close game? We might lose by 50. And I don't have any beer in the stadium to fix this. I'm sitting there sober. And I'm going, by the way. What?
Oh my God, they don't sell beer in that stadium? You guys need it.
You can't have any. You can't even come in with it.
Oh,
now people come in with it. I'll come in with it. But no, it's a sober campus, and it's part of the campus. So you have to cross the street to the tailgate area to get the beer, which people give out for free, by the way. So we We're at 30 minutes. Nice. I hope we don't take this long on Miami. We are gonna.
Well, I can't now.
So we have no leaders. We have no O-line. We have no defense. We have running backs. I think the receivers are okay. Keytron Jackson was decent. I think that's the transfer from Arkansas. Hal Presley was good. He had those 2 great catches. I'm not thrilled with the quarterback play. Blake Shapen is Charlie Brewer, for the record. I don't know if you remember Charlie Brewer, but they wear the same number and they look the same, and now they play the same and they both get injured. So they're the same. And we've been saying that since Blake Shapen trotted onto the field. And now it's actually true. But what else? Tight ends. Drake Dabney had a nice catch and run that he scored on somehow. That was actually the play. The only play I missed was I was getting back from the shower and I looked up and Texas State had the ball ready to start the second half. I was like, oh no, did we already go 3 and out? And I realized we already scored. We were a minute and a half into the second half. We have nothing. We have no reason to believe that we can compete with Utah. None. Utah looked good. They have a defense. They were still throwing the ball a little bit with their 3rd string quarterback. If Cam Rising plays, we are going to get killed. The only thing we have is that 89% of the public is on Baylor, and the line opened on Sunday at 6.5. It's 7.5, but it hasn't gone down. Like it's not 10. I'm gonna get my ass up at 7 in the morning, drive down there, go tailgate at 9 in the morning because it's always an 11 a.m. And I'm gonna walk in that stadium and I'm gonna watch us lose by 50. But I have to take Baylor plus 7.5. I can't go against this stupid rule. And if Vegas loses every spread they're on this week, then I have to just go down with the ship. I can't do anything else. I don't know what to do.
JP,
Kyle, tell me that you're on Utah, please.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
Oh no.
This makes no sense. But I am also on Baylor plus 7.5 for the same reasons that you are. The line.
Only one reason.
Yeah, exactly. This line.
Every other reason.
This line is just so suspect. Like this should be 14. This should be like 17 if you watch both teams play last week. It's
the same type of spread that TCU and Colorado should have been. Utah is better than TCU. I don't know if Vegas had reset our win total after that game, is it higher or lower than 3.5?
I haven't seen it, but it would probably what was the win total to start? It was 6.5, right? Or 5.5?
6.5 or 7. It's kind of what I said we would go 7-5. But and I'm sure they don't reset it. But if they did, I can only see us beating Long Island. There's not a single Big 12 game that I can see us winning if we play like that. If that is our team, we will go 1-11. And Aranda is the greatest genius of all time to use rules recruits and some of Ryle's recruits to win a Big 12 championship and then continue on with no recruiting, no transfer portal, no NIL, and then sit here and say, yep, thank you for signing me through 2029. I'll take my buyout anytime.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess you could use some classic tropes for this game of Baylor's a wounded animal team and Utah is on a come down game, but that's the line. That's the only way this makes sense whatsoever.
And it's not. I want to believe the wounded animal. I want with all my heart to believe it.
But if the team's as emotionless as you say,
You can't have a wounded animal if you have Aranda as the head coach and they're taking on his mentality. You can't have it. So what are they doing?
Yeah, I I just have to take Baylor plus 7.5 and move on.
We're gonna cover.
We're gonna fall together here.
We're gonna win by 2 touchdowns.
And now speaking of winning outright as an underdog last week, we are going to move on to the big noon game on Fox. Nebraska coming off of their atrocious game that a lot of us watched at least the ending to on Thursday night against Minnesota, going up against number 22 Colorado, who played possibly one of the most exciting college football regular season games just exciting college football games in general you could possibly ask for. Deion's boys showed up. Travis Hunter is probably going to be a Heisman candidate at the end of the season, no matter how the team ends up doing, just based on this game alone, based on how much hype he got and the narrative around him already. I say all that. In Colorado, only 3.5. Was it 3, 2.5? I got to look at the line again.
We've got 3 right now.
In Colorado, was only a 3-point favorite still. What is going on here? Why?
It's every. Is it really just every week 1? Do they do this every week 2? Do they have 5 games where you just sit there and you say, why? What are they doing? Because I don't remember this last year. I don't remember it until like week 6 where we started doing, what is this line?
Yeah, they haven't been. They're not usually this bad. I mean, you could say they're just not. They're just trying to not overreact to week 1 at all. But in some cases, I mean, in this case, I will probably be where the public's lying because, man, the last one didn't make sense. This one just really doesn't make sense. Colorado coming back home, playing. They have big noon kickoff. I don't care that it's 10 a.m. there. That place is going to be rocking. The tickets are going for like $400.
Cheapest ticket.
Yeah, it's insanity.
So the line, I told you it was Baylor minus 1.5 originally. From what I can tell, it was Nebraska at minus 8.5 before last week's games.
So it has moved 11 points.
11.5 points across 7, 3, 0, and up to 3 now. So, and it looks like, from what I remember, it opened after this week's games at 2.5 or 3, and it hasn't moved.
And everybody's on Colorado.
From what I can tell, according to Action, which doesn't have everything, but I think the DraftKings number was, because that's the one you sent me, I think it was 8, definitely over 80, maybe 90%. 80% of the bets that Action has tracked are on Colorado. The easiest way to tell the public line, as we discovered this week, the easiest way to tell. My dad went to Nebraska. That's where he met my mom. He's been a Nebraska fan his whole life. He was there during the early and late 90s, Nebraska, Miami, the good old days. And I told him what the spread was. This man has never placed a bet in his life. Never. He hates that I bet. Tells me it's super dumb. And he told me to place $5 on Colorado minus 3 for it. And I said, no, Dad, that's not how it works. He's like, just do it. I was like, okay, well, no. Because I Jeff Sims was not good last week, the Nebraska quarterback. Not good. I was watching a lot of that game. because I'm from Minnesota and my grew up a Nebraska fan. He didn't look like he could throw a forward pass. Shedeur Sanders can definitely throw a forward pass.
He threw 38 completed forward passes for 510 yards. So he could throw a forward pass.
Now, I don't think that Nebraska has 4 corners that are going to be able to cover those 400-yard receivers. And I ended up driving by. I was driving from Fort Worth to Dallas around 3 or 4 o'clock. It's on Saturday. I ended up driving by their buses because it was 2 cop cars, a Mercedes van, and then 4 buses, and then 2 more cop cars. Now, they did not help the traffic at all on I-30. But I did try to kind of wave at them and ask them if they were going to cover this week. I didn't get a response, unfortunately. I was trying to catch up to the Mercedes van to see if Dion would answer me. I did not catch up. But I think, and I don't want to take too long on this because I took 20 minutes on Baylor probably. I've taken Vegas twice. If I don't take Vegas here, it's dumb. It's just stupid of me to not bet with Vegas every time because I'll end up being wrong. So I think I'm taking Nebraska +3, and I'm just banking on, like, if Baylor wasn't ready for the lights of McLean Stadium and the heat and no one being there, people were there probably, then maybe Colorado players won't be ready for the big lights of whatever their stadium's named. And 10 a.m., way too early. And let's just not throw at Travis Hunter. I think that's a good plan. Shout out to, I know you watch Pate, so shout out to him, or shout out, as he said, shout out to Fox for just betting on Dion and making Big Noon Colorado 2 weeks in a row. That's a great call. I'm taking Nebraska +3. I don't know.
Oh man, they made Colorado Big Noon twice in a row. It just feels weird that it's a 10 a.m. home game this time. I mean, I'm gonna take Colorado for kind of all of the reasons that I already went over. I just have to hold my nose and bet against Vegas here because it's just mind-numbing. It's mind-boggling.
You might take 3 public sides this week. I think you are going to. That's my bet. I'm going to place a bet on Wednesday night as a recording. Kyle's going to take 3 public sides in the pot. Watch.
I've already taken 2. I've taken Notre Dame.
You're going to go 3 public, 1 Vegas.
In Colorado. And now we get to, oh man, 3:30 ABC. After you watch all of these games and after you watch Utah probably hang 50 on Baylor and us regret going on them, you get to see number 23 Texas A&M travel to Miami Gardens, Florida, to play the Miami Hurricanes. JP, it scares me that I'm feeling so good.
What happened last year? Were you feeling good last year?
I was.
I'll go back on you.
I was feeling pretty good about this game last year. But the thing about last year was I said it was a proving ground test game for us. We'll see who we are. That's still the case this year, but it was the case really for both of us last year. And it was a god-awful football game last year. I was there in College Station. It was one of the worst football games I've ever watched. It was still pretty close throughout. We almost covered, which would have been spectacular. But yeah, it turned out both after that game, you could see that both teams were very bad. And both teams ended up being very bad. We went 5-7. I believe Texas A&M's final record was 4-8, but they had a huge win to close the season to turn that around and give people some.
We're gonna have to talk about that later.
What's up?
They beat the frauds. We're gonna have to talk about that a little later.
Yeah. Um, and now just kind of recapping a bit Miami last week. Miami of Ohio's quarterback. I'm pretty sure he's related to Blaine Gabbert, which is hilarious. Brett Gabbert. He came in the week talking about how they're going to prove that they're the real Miami on September 1st. They came into the real Miami. They lost 38-3. Tyler Van Dyke came into this game with a slight injury. He hit a finger on his throwing arm onto somebody's helmet in practice, jammed it up a bit. It honestly did show for a little while. We weren't passing the ball much though. A few of his throws were wobbly, but I say all that, and he came out first drive, first play, threw a long touchdown. So it wasn't all bad on the passing front. He went 17 for 22 for 201 yards. So we didn't even really pass the ball much. Where we shined was the run game, was the trenches, specifically the trenches, which is rare for Miami. We don't produce offensive linemen. We don't usually bring in many offensive linemen. Turns out we have the best freshman offensive lineman in the country, which is just mind-boggling to me. And Francis Mauigoa. What's up?
Does he want to come to Waco?
No. And I'm talking about the wrong side of the ball. I just embarrassed myself. Francisco Mauigoa is on defense, but we do have a few. We do have a few hogs up front. Oh no, I am right. I'm an idiot again. His brother plays defense. This is what you get for just reading box scores.
We shouldn't have had you keep recording at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. But yeah, we looked good. We looked great. We looked great in a few spots. I mean, only let up 3 points. It is an FBS team. It's not like Notre Dame where we're playing nonsense FCS teams where we're playing nonsense FCS teams and teams that can't throw the ball whatsoever and letting up 3 points each. We played a real football team and only gave up 3 points. Huge success. Ran for 250 yards down their throat. Now, will we be able to run for 250 yards this week against Texas A&M? Probably not. But yeah, they're coming off a 52-10 win against New Mexico last week. They looked incredible as well. So we're kind of in the same spot that we are last year, right? Two teams coming in with a lot of question marks, with some question marks. Both played inferior competition coming in. And we're gonna find out a lot about both of these teams on Saturday. I'm going to be there once again at this matchup. Hopefully, I bring positive vibes this year, given that it's in Miami. You might have seen the buy one get one free ticket going viral a little bit. I didn't want to talk about it, but I have to bring it up. Seems like we priced out some people and we're struggling to sell tickets for this game, which is wild. But yeah, that's what happens when you make the cheapest ticket $150. Face value. That's not secondary market.
Yeah, that's on you guys though.
Yeah. But hopefully hopefully the buy one get one free works out. Let's see. I hope to see a full stadium there on Saturday, and if it's not full, they'll somehow still be rocking. God damn it. I think we cover. I think we win outright. I think this is the coming out party for the program. I think we're going at least we talked about it on the first podcast. I think we're going at least 9-3 this year. After watching Clemson last week, I think I'm going to change that prediction to 10-2. And after watching BC, I may change that prediction to 11-1. I think we win. I think we obviously we cover if we win outright here. Oh man, what am I doing to myself? I'm getting my hopes up again. But it was bound to happen, right?
We knew this was coming. I don't think there's a way for you to bet on Miami right now without your hopes up, like there is with me and Baylor. Miami plus 1.5. Okay. Hmm. Oh,
And by the
50.
way, I did confuse myself looking at box scores. I was right. Francis Mauigoa is the top freshman offensive lineman in the country.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there you go.
There you go.
I needed to assure myself of that to make sure I wasn't an idiot. There we go.
You said trenches and remind me that Texas State outplayed Baylor in the trenches, and I don't want to talk trenches anymore. We I don't want to do this. I don't want to bet against Miami again because, while I did enjoy it last year, and I thought it was a little funny, I would prefer if we both went to our home stadiums, we both came out happy, and we both came out with a hope for the future. But I don't believe in either of these teams. I haven't watched either of these teams. I have watched more A&M over the last 2 years than Miami. And I feel like Blackman could play a little. 51% of the country's on A&M, by the way. First non-Vegas game we have today. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go A&M. I'm sorry. That's all I really got. No. All right, I'll do this. I'm taking Miami. You took Baylor. And I don't care. And I can blame you if we lose. So I'm taking Miami plus 4.5.
Oh man, we're riding and dying together this week. This is either gonna be spectacular or
It's not gonna
absolutely
be.
miserable.
That's going to be that, yes. We might pick different on every other game except each other's teams.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm pumped for a somewhat big. I would say a pretty big game in Miami this week. It's been a while since we've had a. It's crazy. People are calling this in Miami social media areas the biggest game since 2017. Um, I think this is the biggest game for us since 2018, I would say, because or 2019, sorry. Manny Diaz's first game against Florida where he lost and it sent his entire regime off the rails.
You don't think the game against Florida State was it 2020? Let's see, where was I living? 2020.
The COVID one when we whooped their ass.
No, my senior year would have been 22. I think it was Miami, Florida State, and you lost in a really dumb way. No, this is 23. Last year's 22. It would have been 2021. Didn't you lose in a dumb way that year?
We did, but that wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't call that a really like big meaningful game like this. I mean, it's just the rivalry game every year, and we have somehow found it. We got steamrolled last year, but
it's gonna be a better game this year.
The rivalries turned the other way. We were dominating it for a while, and I will say, you said it's going to be a better game this year about that. I think this is going to be a much better football game this year, just in general. Last year was a disaster for both teams that Texas A&M managed to pull off. Neither team really wanted to win that game. It seemed like Miami just wanted to win less.
They don't want to cover either.
But now But now moving on from us ranting about our teams for the last about 45 minutes of the 50 we've been recording here. Now we get to the actual neutral fans' biggest game of the week. I can't believe it took us so long to get here. 7 p.m. ESPN. We get to watch it after being at our team's games. I already have a dinner reservation in Miami at a bar to watch it. So hoping to get there quickly after we kick their ass, after we kick A&M's ass. Number 11 Texas at number 3 Alabama. Alabama are minus 7.5 point favorites. Two of the biggest brands in the sport, two top 11 teams. God, they should have just moved them up to 10 so we can say two top 10 teams. But JP, what are your thoughts?
So they're coming in off of kind of different games. Alabama was they didn't kill. Was it Middle Tennessee?
Oh, I have the score up. They killed Middle
Tennessee. It was like 42-3, right?
It was 56-7.
Oh, Christ, never mind. They killed Middle Tennessee. And Texas did not kill Rice. And I'm pretty sure Rice is a better team than the Middle Tennessee team.
Don't talk bad about Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I was wondering if you would if you would take offense to that. I should have brought that up with Miami big games. But Texas was a lot better the second half than they were in the first. In the first, they let Rice hang around because they weren't. The O-line was not doing anything. They looked like the Baylor O-line, but they actually have players. So they got better after the players didn't play in the first half. So they won 37-10, if I remember correctly, something like that. Alabama, I think Milroe looked better than Quinn. If I remember correctly, we were both on Alabama minus 22.5 last year.
Yeah, I think so.
I know I was. I'm pretty sure.
I was as well.
And so we were both very surprised by that game. It was kind of an early tell that Alabama's not who they think they are or who we think they are. If they can't score double digit, or if they can't score 20 points on Texas, they're probably not really in the hunt for the playoff. So they're 7.5 point favorites here. Do you think that Saban doesn't have the film from the Texas-Alabama game last year up? Do you think that he isn't reminding them every day of how they only beat this team by 3, and it told everyone that they didn't have a shot of making the playoff? It's a big reason why they missed out on the playoff. They could have kept Ohio State out and brought in Alabama last year if it hadn't been for this Texas team. Granted, LSU game probably bigger deal, but I think that's definitely on their minds. I think they took it out on Kansas State in the bowl game. That's a huge part of why they beat the brakes off of Kansas State in that game. I think this is a huge motivation game for Saban. People are wondering if Alabama still has it, if they're really deserving of that 3 spot. I'm not going to say I'm wondering.
Who is wondering that?
I'm not going to say I'm wondering, but they don't have Bryce Young. They don't have name another quarterback. Greg McElroy. That was a quarterback, right? They don't have any of these great quarterbacks right now, but they do have Jalen Milroe, who was not good last year, and he got hurt too. But it was last year, right? No, Bryce Young got hurt, and Milroe had to come in. That's right. Milroe wasn't very good last year, and he showed out in week 1. In what could have been, if it hadn't been their first game, definitely would have been a letdown spot for them. coming into Texas. Motivation game here, Bama minus 7.5. That's what I'm taking. I have to take it. 58% of the public with it, which, while there's always people who are going to bet Bama, there's always people who are going to bet Texas. So it's never a true Vegas game against Texas because they're just going to take Texas. So thank you, people who bet Texas. I'm going to take Bama and give me that hook when I actually bet it. So Bama minus 7, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say 58% has to be one of the lower public numbers on Bama. And not in a long time, because there might have been, I think that Bama LSU game was heavy LSU with Burrow, but
Yeah, Burrow, yeah. I thought you meant last year. I was like, there's no way.
No. But still, that's a long time ago. But there's probably some game in between that the public was on the other side. But here,
it's one of the lower numbers this week.
Yeah, only 58% is nice. I mean, I have Bama for all the same reasons you do. Motivation game for them. I made fun of you saying who the hell is doubting them, but they'll make up doubters. Like every good team does. They just make them up. They're like, oh, the doubters said that we're not going to win this game, blah, blah, blah. It's like Patrick Mahomes, I think it was the Chiefs called themselves underdogs at some point. It's like, you were the complete opposite of underdogs. You're not even close to the underdogs. Everybody hates you. Like in Bama's the same way. I mean, everybody hates Texas too because they always think they're back. But at least Miami fans are honest these days and don't say we're back. It's the national media that likes to say that when we win one.
You're gonna say you're back if you win this game. Don't do that.
I'm gonna say we're back if we beat Florida State.
I was gonna say, when do you play Florida State? Because you'll convince yourself, if you go into that with a good record, you'll convince yourself.
We don't play Florida State until November 11th. So my God, if we go into that game 9-0, you know I'm going to convince myself that we're back.
Oh,
or even 8-1. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. Alabama to run it down their throats and cover the spread.
They can find the doubters just by looking at the people that say Texas is going undefeated, because there's plenty of those, and there's plenty of people who are going to say Texas is going to make the college football playoff.
Yeah,
and it's 2 weeks in a row, teams with real playoff aspirations. Only one of them is going to come out of this game with those same aspirations, and you're asking me to choose between Texas and Alabama. I hate Texas. I bet they're under in the win total. I probably bet the Alabama over. I should have checked that. I remember I was going to check that, but I took like 25 win totals this year. It was stupid. But we're choosing between Texas and Alabama. It's not like a Georgia and Alabama, like both these teams. It's not a Clemson, Alabama from the old. It feels, I'm about to say the old playoff days. The playoff is not old, but I'm about to say the old playoff days. Because it feels like a different era since Clemson and Bama fell off. And I just said Bama fell off.
Bama's not fell off.
They missed the playoff. They fell off. I'm trying to give them motivation.
I guess you're right.
I got to release this on Thursday so that Bama has time to see it before the game.
Oh man. Yeah, so we're both on Bama there. Just moving on, one more game. We'll try to make this one quick, given that we're about to go over an hour here. Number 13 Oregon on the road against Texas Tech, coming off of losing to Wyoming last week in that crazy game on that crazy random game on CBS that I was like, wait, this is on, and it turned out to be riveting TV. But yeah, Oregon are 6.5-point favorites. What the hell is going on here?
We're doing it again. We're doing it again. Four games that we're going to talk about this week. Just ridiculous lines. 80% of the public is on Oregon. And I'll, like you said, I'll try to make it quick. Because I don't have a lot of, ties to Texas Tech. I have nothing against them. Joey McGuire's their coach. Obviously love him for what he did with Baylor. Hate Oregon because of who they took from us in the recruiting cycle last year. Again, it's more random recruiting. Don't want to do this. I watched the fourth quarter of the Tech Wyoming game because 4 of the people in my fantasy draft went to Tech, and they kept complaining about it. And then I realized when it was on, I assumed it wasn't on TV, and then I was like, oh, actually, I have cable. I might as well just throw this right on. And then I was 30 seconds ahead of them the whole time, and I just had to mute myself while you're on the draft, and I was just, yeah, Wyoming. Yeah, Oregon won 81-7, and Tech lost to Wyoming. This is not a 7-point spread. This is not a 6.5-point spread. This is a 2-touchdown. Tech is not who we thought they were. People were talking about them as a dark horse. They were everyone's dark horse in the Big 12. It was them and Baylor. And then, them and TCU probably a little bit. Oklahoma State a little bit. They were fine. But yeah, Tech lost to Wyoming. We lost Texas Tech, and this is not. So naturally, 80% of the public's on Oregon, so I'm going to take Texas Tech because there's no point in going against Vegas once if I'm taking with them 3 times because that's the one that's going to lose. Yeah, I would like Vegas to have a winning record this week. If I go 3-1 on those games, then I'm going to be very happy. And then Miami can lose, and I'll blame you, and Bama can lose, and I'll blame you. I won't blame you for that.
You'll blame me for Bama?
No, I won't blame you for Bama, but you also took Bama, so I won't lose any in the pod standings, and then I'll be up the other 3. So no matter what you put here, I'll still be up 2 games.
Okay.
So who are you taking? This is my question because my bet tonight is already on that. This is the game.
So I've flip-flopped about this for the last few minutes.
Do you want me? I'll sway you towards Texas Tech a little bit if you let me.
Go for it.
Lubbock is such a weird place, dude. It's the people that go there are weird. The people that come out of there are weird. The people who live there are way weird.
Sounds like College Station, Texas, too.
It's a different weird.
So it's not
very weird.
Cultish.
It's not cult. Weird. It's not cult.
Okay.
It's oil fields, and I can't explain. It's not the level of Oklahoma State at night weird. I think it's similar to West Virginia at night weird, at least for the Big 12. We played in Lubbock last year against Texas Tech. Texas Tech threw 5 interceptions. I think there was 3 different quarterbacks. We won by like a touchdown. So they threw 5 interceptions. They tried to throw us the game, and we still couldn't just blow them out like we should have. So Lubbock is weird.
With that said, that just swayed me because I was leaning that way the last few minutes. I was thinking about it. I was like, I have heard Lubbock is this weird place. I have heard it goes well for them at home. You just confirmed that hearsay. Yeah, Texas Tech plus 6.5. I cannot believe I'm doing it.
There.
I can't believe I'm doing it because I'm pretty high on Oregon too. But
yeah,
number 1, the line makes no sense. Number 2, Lubbock is weird. Number 3, Oregon could still win this game by 1 possession and not cover.
Yeah, the wounded animal thing I think will apply to Texas Tech. They probably don't have a quarterback, but although I did hear their quarterback got recruited by Oregon, didn't get a scholarship, something like that.
Motivation game.
motivation game for the quarterback, motivation game for Joey McGuire, and Lubbock is weird. And the line's weird. Texas Tech.
So it just screams Texas Tech and all of the betting angles that doesn't make formal sense anywhere else.
Make Tech my best bet.
All right, so since we've been recording for an hour and 5 minutes now, based on this time, let's let's make if you made it this far, congrats. Let's make the best bets.
Friends who stayed with us this long.
Yeah. They all commented that the intro was fire and then never commented farther, besides for the one that texted me about Hawaii. So
not a good pick. Not a good pick.
No, it wasn't.
I think it's because you said hurricane in Maui.
Yeah, it came back to bite me. So this week my best bet, I'm doing it. Kansas -3 against Illinois. Illinois barely scraped by Toledo last week. Looked fairly awful in the process. Gave up 28 points to Toledo at home as well. Kansas. I mean, they got Jalen Daniels back. I think they win this game fairly easily. I think they may win by I don't want to jinx it too far and say 10 plus, but I think they cover fairly easily.
God, I have to bet against you here. The line on the Kansas game last week was 32, and they won by 31. So I'm a little angry with Kansas right now. And the whole, wounded animal thing. I don't want to analyze your best bet. I'll have to do that tomorrow or Friday game.
The whole wounded animal thing, neither team lost.
Yeah, but Illinois looked terrible. Kansas didn't.
That's true. All right.
That's a Friday game, yeah.
It's a Friday night game, yeah. Friday night in Lawrence, Kansas.
Kyle's making us bet 16 games this week. It's just gonna be a bloodbath for me.
Dude, look at the schedule. It's hard to cut any of them off.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
I tried. But back to what's your best bet here, so we could.
Best bet. So, and I'll say I'm 7-25 on college, or no, because I won 2 games on Sunday and lost one on Monday. I should have bet Oregon State with Belmont. I did. Would have been 3. No, would have been 5. So I'm 9-26 on college football bets this year. You should absolutely fade me. If you've gotten this far, free tip for everybody. Don't bet with me. But I am looking at a team in Purdue that lost outright to Fresno State last week. And Kyle and I were both on them to cover, and they did not. And so I'm angry with them. And so I look at their opponent. They're playing Virginia Tech. They beat Old Dominion by 19 last week. And little known factor here, Virginia Tech backup quarterback, Kyron Drones, someone that I've been clamoring for at Baylor since he originally committed there in 2020. And the only reason he transferred in December. And he transferred because he wasn't given a chance when Blake Shapen was terrible. And everyone in the stands, including me, kept chanting for him, and we did not get him, and he transferred. So he threw 1 pass last week for 8 yards. He's not going to play in this game, but I don't care. I'm taking Virginia Tech -3. And I think, if I remember correctly, you are volunteering the same team for the podcast parlay. You just play right into that for you.
I am. My money line volunteer for the podcast parlay was Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech money line. I volunteered UTEP, and I am struggling. Oh, Northwestern. Northwestern versus UTEP. Northwestern isn't home, but they stink.
Oh,
And
they stink.
I mean, you volunteered Rutgers money line last week. That's gotta feel pretty good.
Oh yeah, let's just continue fading Northwestern.
We're gonna continue fading Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald bullied people. They got huge problems in the football program, huge problems in the baseball program too. We're not gonna get into that, but it's out there. So I volunteered UTEP this week and Virginia Tech. Kyle, do you know what that is off the top of your head? Because I forgot to look
Yeah,
it up.
I just made it in DraftKings Sportsbook, and it looks like it's plus 221. So we're
Plus 221. You're going to see a different number because I don't use DraftKings for that. But what was it? Virginia Tech is what day? They're both on Saturday. There's Virginia Tech.
they're both Saturday games.
Two and
I
a half.
believe they're both. Yeah.
Pretty good money lines here. UTEP money line minus 120. Might
Yeah.
volunteer that straight up. Let's see here. Parlay 214. How is that less? Well, you're going to see 214 when I take the screenshot and put it in the graphics. But plus 214, UTEP and Virginia Tech. Kyle, I could go another hour. How about you?
Oh my God, just get me going about the experience down in Miami this week. I'm so excited to be back down there.
What type of restaurant you going to?
To watch a game after?
Yeah.
To watch Texas Alabama, like a kind of a sports bar type. Sports bar, a lot of screens. They'll have the college football games on. It's kind of like a shoe. It's a shoe themed like sneaker themed restaurant, Grails.
Okay.
And
Nice.
in the Wynwood area, great wings, phenomenal wings. We'll go there, and then we'll probably go out after that game.
Okay, I see you.
Pending a Miami win. A Miami loss, I may be a little too pissed off to do the afters, but
Well, that's when you need it the most.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Did you just
what?
You just cut off a little bit.
I'd like to go to Shorty's Pizza Shack after the game. But I have a feeling it may be crowded because it's where everybody goes. So we'll see what ends up happening. I gotta kill time until Carly gets back from her job at 10 p.m. So we'll try to find a little something, watch some games, eat some food, and relish that Baylor victory that's gonna happen.
Oh my God!
I couldn't say it without laughing.
Oh man, we'll hopefully be both. We'll both probably either be enjoying or commiserating because either 2-0 or 0-2, or you think maybe a 1-1 in there. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see this Saturday.
You think Baylor's gonna win and Miami's gonna not cover? You think that?
No.
I don't see how that happens for the record.
No. I was saying 1-1 for only the other way, pretty much.
Oh, okay. So there's 3 possibilities, and none of them involve Baylor winning and Miami not winning.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Is that then if Baylor wins, you know Miami's gonna win.
We'll see.
Now I'm on Miami. I have to knock it
now. All right. We've been on for an hour, 14 minutes. I think this is the longest episode of this podcast ever for good reason. I mean, we both have big games this week. There's another really big game on top of that this week and a few wild lines. So we had a lot to go over here. Everybody enjoy the games this weekend and go Canes.
See y'all. Sick 'em.
Games this weekend and go Canes.
See y'all.